All right. Most people celebrate champions, but rarely one spends their lives sharpening them. Tonight, we honor journey, not just the victories. The late nights, the unseen work, the faith carried quietly through adversity. We're going to, look at some of the things that make real heroes. So many times we overlook these people. Sometimes we don't even see the ones that's behind the scene making the work happen. That's what we're all about. That's what the show is all about. That's what the Iron Sharpening Iron show is all about. Pointing out those people, pointing out those ones, and letting you know that there's real people out there doing real work at all times. So we thank you for tuning in to the Iron Sharpening Iron show. I'm your man, Big Jack, and we are stronger together. If each one would reach one, we could all grow and glow. But I can't do this by myself. And because I know I can't do it by myself, I'm going to have to get my man up here. And once I get him up here, we'll kick this off. So tune in or wait up so I can get my man up on this stage. Give me a second. There he is. What's up, my brother?
My man. What's happening, Big Jack? How you doing, sir?
It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood. You know how that go? You know how that
go? Yeah, man. Mother Nature didn't even play a trick on us, but she left us a little snow. So
snow today, yeah.
Yeah, that's now, nice, man.
It's not just not just in Maryland or the DMV, but all over the country almost. I think everybody was getting something.
So let me tell you how my brain works. All I know is I have a tea time Wednesday because it's supposed to be 50 degrees. But it's going to be 30 for the next 2 days, so I probably won't be playing Wednesday because it's not going anywhere. Yeah, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Yeah, man. So that's nice.
You know how it was. I remember when I first started, I was playing when it was 32 degrees outside and hitting the green with the ball and it bouncing off like you hit a piece of concrete or whatever.
Yeah. So can't even get the tee in the ground. But so I guess if I want to play any golf in the next month or so, I'm gonna have to change my zip code for a week. So
hey, go down south. That's what they tell us. That's what
it is, man.
Look, man, we got an awesome show in front of us today.
Yes, sir.
Going way back. This guest is we went to high school together, so that's how far.
Yeah, that's way back. That's way back.
Yeah, way back. Yeah, back in the late 89s, I guess it was late 80s. Is when we had this person on. So well, not on, but me and him seen each other. This is the first time we've seen each other since then. So it's pretty cool to have him on the stage. But you know what would touch my heart, and even with having this guest, and I just want to drop this because there's a lot of people that do a lot of things behind the scenes that we don't really recognize.
Yes,
and it was such a great honor when I seen that he had got recognized for being maybe what sometimes you don't think about. And when that happened, I was like, man, I got to get him on the show. And it's unfortunate for me, that I had to, for that recognition to come up to get him on the show. But we've said this a lot of times before. I'd rather talk with you than talk about you. And here we have an opportunity to talk to him. So if you don't mind, I'm going to get this man up on the stage and we can have a conversation with him. Right?
Let's get to it. Let's get to it.
So we're going to kick off this show. So everyone out there in the chat, thank you for being here. Welcome to the Iron Sharpening Iron show. All right, there he is, my man, Juan Marshall. What's up, sir? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
Hey, Juan. Good to see you, sir.
Good.
Hey, Juan, like I told you, hey, Juan, I'm with this great. I'm just Big Jack Story Time. Welcome to the Iron Sharpening Iron show. That's my man, Walt Talks.
I like that title.
Oh, yeah, Iron Sharpening Iron, 100.
Yeah, that Proverbs 27:17. Yep.
Yep, it is.
Man does it all. He does it all. Yes, sir.
That's 100%. And that's what we're all about. So this show is designed to we're going to get stronger talking to you. And hopefully while you talking to us, you're going to be strong. And together and we'll help each other
Yes.
grow and glow, as we pointed out. So letting you know right now, we are live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube, we're live on Twitch, we're live on LinkedIn, and then we'll make cuts of this and put it on Instagram and TikTok and any other social media platforms that's out there. But I'm so glad to have you up on the stage with me tonight. So thank you.
Thanks for the invite, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I know. So, and you're more than welcome. So, Juan, only big question I need you to do for us or break down for us is introduce yourself to us and to the audience watching right now.
Well, okay. My name is Juan Marshall. I'm a husband. I'm a father of 3 girls, grandfather of 4 kids, 3 boys and one granddaughter. Been covering boxing since I've been in the sport, interested in the sport since I was like 18 years old, really. And things didn't go the way I wanted to go, so I just got into their inner side of boxing, you know. And I wanted to highlight others, you know, since I wasn't be able to get on the stage. I wanted to highlight the kids around here, you know, and I saw them, you know, do some things that I was like, these kids are special. They can go somewhere. And I had the privilege of watching those kids grow and become world champions. Yep.
Wow.
So that's to sum it all up in a short sentence.
All right. Well, hey, it's amazing how you was able to, like, say, being a husband, being a father, being a grandfather, you know, and promoting other people, you know, showing them their, you know, showing the world their heights, their highlights, their, you know, their abilities, you know. You didn't mention what area you're in. So what part of the country you're in, if you don't mind sharing?
Right now, I'm in Suitland, Maryland, just not too far from where I grew up in Capitol Heights. You know, I'm in Suitland, Maryland, and right in the middle of pretty much all the boxing activity. Everything's around Suitland area and out or right outside of it. So I was only maybe no more than 20 minutes away from all the gyms that I covered.
Okay, all right.
So I was in the perfect spot.
Yeah, yeah. So for those who know, and you know, if you watch any other show, you already know that I'm from the DMV. Walt talks from the DMV. So where Juan is talking about right now is in that same area. So that Washington D.C., that Maryland, Northern Virginia, all that area is where we're talking about. So
yeah, and the good thing is that a lot of the boxing, the heart of the boxing area, they're really PG County.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a PG County thing for real. Then everything else outside that attaches to it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So now, only thing I remember about boxing growing up, and I'm out of the Pep Mill Village area, so I was outside the Sea Pleasant Pep Mill Village. I played football, I played baseball, I played tennis, and other sports, but I didn't box at all. I was in the ring more than most people ever because of the fact that was our punishment. That's what they used to send us when we didn't do the right thing. If we was out on the field wanting to fight each other, you know, 2 players want to fight each other, they used to make us go in the gym and get in the ring with the Golden Glove boxers. And by the time we finished one round with them, we go back out there and play football. I didn't want to get back in that ring. So,
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Boxing can be a brutal sport sometimes.
Oh yeah.
And it'll straighten out the person that really doesn't want to box. It'll straighten them out
real fast.
Yeah.
So but it's funny. So you were saying that you covered the game, and you also mentioned that you couldn't do the game. So what happened that you couldn't do? You couldn't perform in the ring.
So as a kid, you know, I was when I was 8 years old. Actually, really to start it off, I was born in Washington, D.C. You know, and I lived in Washington, D.C., Southeast Washington, Brandywine Street, right off Willow Road and Southern Avenue and all that. And for the first 7 years of my life, you know, my parents moved then to Capitol Heights. Moved in Capitol Heights we lived off of Capitol Heights Boulevard and Larchmont. And with Glacier Avenue is this popular landmark everybody in the Capitol Heights knows called Big Ben. So we went to Big Ben, the little store right there. We lived right the next street over off of Emo Street, which was Glacier Avenue. We lived at the bottom, last house on the right on Glacier Avenue. And we lived there for about a year. But then my mom and dad found another house in Capitol Heights which we moved not even 5 minutes away. And we moved right over off of Capitol Heights Boulevard on a street called Abdul Street, right there right across the street from the Capitol Heights police station. So we actually lived in the whole town of Capitol Heights. I used to call it Maybury. You know, I used to call it Maybury when I was a kid. I used to call it Maybury.
Right.
And so at 8, when Christmas time rolled around, I remember like it was my mom bought us a pair of boxing gloves. And she bought us a heavy bag with the little sand bottom to it. When you blow it up with the air, so the toy kit, you know. And that's when I really got into it. And my oldest brother at the time, he was an older teenager while we were still kids. You know, he got into it. And he was just showing us some things, you know. And so we started like boxing kids in the neighborhood, you know. And but that didn't last too long because my brother at 18, you know, he wanted to, you know, started getting a little grown. He wanted to go venture himself. So he left home. And that's when we got into the other sports like basketball, football, and we started playing the boys club stuff. Okay. You know, once we got into boys club and then things then, you know, moved up and went to high school, started playing high school sports and things like that. So when I got into high school, I played high school sports all the way to my 11th grade. And I remember Coach Murphy. They got mad at me because I didn't play my senior year. Right. They got mad at me because I started making money, man. And even if it was at Popeyes, I remember Popeyes Chicken right there at Addison Plaza. Yeah. I started working there, right? Started making some money, getting my own checks and started buying my own stuff. And that was it, man. So the funny thing around this thing come around full circle because like I said, at 18, I really started watching boxing on a regular because it was Tuesday night fights. And we have guys like local fighters like used to be on Tuesday nights, like Daryl Coley. He's a local guy from the area, from Maryland Park, you know. Okay. And he was boxing on Tuesday night fights. I remember Daryl when we were kids, you know, shooting basketball. And he would have to go take his run. He would just take off running because it was time for him to run, stop playing basketball, and he'd go run. So, you know, watching him grow up and become a professional and things like that. So ironically, fast forward, and when I got into my 20s, I started working for UPS. Okay. And started working at UPS back in 98. I started working at UPS 98. And on my route, ironically, Boogaloo Roach, Bernard Roach, had a boxing gym on my route. And a couple of bays down from him, another guy, Lantes Fox, he had a barbershop that he worked out of one of those warehouse spots. And a couple of streets down, a little further down the road about a 3/4 mile down the road, Andrew Council, he's in the Hall of Fame. He had a boxing gym down there. So I had boxing gyms in my area on my UPS route. Wow. You know, and then once you know, getting to know those guys, I mean, it's amazing how this thing worked out because when I stopped working for UPS because I had some knee issues and couldn't drive anymore. So my brother-in-law came from California on a visit. And he had a camera with him. And he was telling me about this camera and everything. I liked the camera. I was like, man, it's a nice camera. It was a Nikon D40. That's the one he had. It was a smaller camera. So I said, you know what? I'm going to get me one of them. I ordered me one of them cameras. And I just started going to the boxing gyms, man, in the area, taking pictures and videos. And back then when Facebook was the popular social media thing at the time, it was just kicking off. So everybody wanted to see what I was posting on Facebook and what videos and what gym and who was sparring each other. So I used to do that, you know, online. And it grew from that to starting to work with one fighter, you know, the kid, Dusty Hernandez Harrison. He was like a 17-year-old kid getting ready to turn pro, was one of the youngest professionals in the sport of boxing at that time. You know, now you got a whole lot of 18-year-olds starting to fight. Yeah. So, but he was one of the first to do it. And And when I started working with him, you know, his career started going one way. So I just started to create my own and go my own way, you know, because I didn't want to be stuck covering one fighter, you know, because I would have been in a box, you know. So when I broke out and started creating my own platform for these fighters, I had to tell myself, I said, it's too much talent in this area for nobody to know about. Because you only hear about fights in Vegas and fighters coming from Philly and things like that, you know. But now you talk about boxing, and DC is one of the people they talk about in the areas they talk about. You know, these kids out doing good in this area. And so when I started really grinding and getting in this area, it was one particular guy who covered boxing in this area. His name was Gary Digital Williams, or his name is Gary Digital Williams. He's still with us. So Gary had boxing along the Beltway. Everybody went to his blog and to see what was going on, to see the results of the fights and see what fights were coming up. So when I was reading his stuff, I know, see, he didn't have any pictures. He didn't have any pictures. And at the time, I was just doing photography. You know, I didn't even start writing. I wasn't even in the writing business right then, you know, so I was just doing photography. So I met Gary. I was like, Gary, I noticed that you know, on your articles, you gotta, you know, you do some good writing, you put up a lot of good stuff, but you don't have any pictures. Can I come on and help you out and work alongside you to put up the photos to what you're writing? So give people a vision of you know, of what you're writing. He was like, sure, come on, do it. So we started doing that. And then I had an itch to just create my own because it was so much going on. We just couldn't do it just one platform. So I created my own platform. You know, that's when I created Pro Am Fight Talk in 2012. Because when I was doing photography from 2009 all the way to 2000, when I finally put the camera down, maybe 2013, I put the camera down in 2013. Wow. But in 2012, I created my own platform, Pro Am Fight Talk. Took me forever to get a name. Everybody had, I was coming up with all kinds of names. And I was like, man, what can I come? I Google it what I come up with. Somebody had it. Google it, somebody had it. Google it, somebody had it. Then I was like, man, I go around. So I had a conversation with myself for real. I was like, man, you know, I go around all these boxing gyms and I, you know, take pictures of these pro fighters. I take pictures of these amateur fighters. And, you know, I would talk to them and put them on video. Then the light bulb went off. It was Pro Am Fight Talk.
Right there. It is.
And I was like, wow, there we go.
Yeah. Yep. So, wait a minute. So now, you stepped into this. You was probably one of the first content creators. If you want to look at it that way, you creating content and putting it out there, but you was doing this on a volunteer basis. No one was actually paying you to do this. It was just, you saw a need and you said, hey, I'm going to take care of this need because people need to see. All right. So were you a fighter? I mean, were you a fighter? And I know
I never took the step to become a fighter on the amateur side or the professional side. I just had that desire. It was always in me, but I just never was able to. And then, you know, with health issues down the road, whatever was late down the road, I was older when health issues kicked in during the time of me covering fights. But yeah, I never stepped into the ring at all. I just had a passion for it. Loved the sport, loved watching it, loved covering it. I just loved it.
So I know growing up for me, you know, and I wasn't getting into the ring then other than when coaches was punishing us. Yeah. But Sugar Ray Leonard coming out our area. So that was like the big one for me. You know, that was the big one. Palmer Park area. You go down there, you see his gym, and you know, Hagler and Hearns was the big, you know, if you saw Sugar Ray, there was Hagler, there was Hearns, and then Duran. So that was like the big circle.
Exactly. You know, and Benitez.
And Benitez, you're right, Benitez. So that was the circle that we saw, and really that was the only thing I knew about boxing. I didn't know anything. And there was a couple of locals, but you just didn't recognize them. You didn't give them the credit that was due to them because it wasn't, if you didn't know about it. So something that you created, I think it gave one of those boxers a voice and let people now see him outside of, if he wasn't in the gym, now you get to see him. Yep. And then it also introduced us to that world of boxing. It introduced us to another world that you didn't even know was going on. Like I say, inside the rec center, all you thought was there was a pool table where Walt Talks used to bully me on the pool table, and then there was a basketball.
Oh, this guy.
You didn't know they had a
Yeah.
gym or a ring in there, so when you saw
man. Hey, Juan, you know that guy was that size when he was 8. You know that.
I know I never saw a small. I never saw a small Bill Jackson.
Never saw a small Jack.
Never.
Yeah. He's always been that size since I met him when he was about 8, maybe 9. I was 14. He was 9.
Yeah.
8 or 9. Yeah.
So now, so Juan, where did it take you? I mean, other than the DMV, did your ambition and your drive, your reporting, did it take you outside the state? Did you travel around, or what else?
So when it started, like I said, I was covering the guy Dusty Hernandez, and as an amateur, when he got signed at 18. He was like 17 turning 18. So the promoter was kind of, wondering, can I sign this kid? Because he's only 17. And will it be legal? But they end up signing him, and he was fighting all his fights with this particular promotion company down in Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah. And for a couple of times he fought down there, and I got a chance to follow him down to Tennessee and all that. And that was my first time really traveling, when it came to that, outside of the DMV area, because that particular DMV fighter was fighting outside of the area, and as time went on, though, I found out that a couple of other fighters used to fight for that promotion company, like Lamont Peterson and Anthony Peterson used to fight, on those promotion cards down there. And then, I had the opportunity, going to the Atlantic City, because most of the fights, a lot of fights that happened on the East Coast before they moved to Barclays, and they were fighting in Atlantic City. So I was definitely going to Atlantic City and up there and watching those guys fight up there and covering those guys. And when I'm not available to go, out of town, I had build relationships with other photographers, and they would, use my platform to be able to get credentials to go shoot if local fighters. And I only gave them that choice to do that if DMV fighters were fighting out of town in the area he was talking about. So when they were fighting out of town, like up in Pennsylvania and things like that, I had a guy up there that would, be able to go shoot for me up there, and I would give him, the credential access for using my platform, and he would be able to get in and go shoot the fight and send me all of the pictures that would, with those guys fighting. So I would be able to keep track of those guys when they, fought out of town. I could be able to stay on top of their career and post up what they were doing and things like that and the results of their fights. So I was able to stay in tune when those guys went out of town.
No, that's awesome how you're doing it. I mean, it's like I say, I know the roof still got to be over your head. Food still got to be on the table. Clothes got to still be on your backs. You already said you're a husband, your father, even grandfather. So this doesn't pay the bills.
No.
So was there a time that you was like, I'm putting in way more work than I'm getting paid for this? Or
so during that time, financially, I was good. Financially, I was able to do it and not look back with any regrets and things like that. And the only thing that bothered me when covering this sport is, I built a lot of relationships, and the best relationships I have is the ones outside of boxing, even though I built them in boxing, so you don't have to call me every time and just talk about boxing. Of course, that's going to be part of the conversation, but a lot of the conversation, we can talk about our families. We can talk about whatever health issue you got going on, just real talk, and those are relationships that I cherish the most. And, it's funny you asked, because, and we got on this subject because a great referee just retired, I want to say earlier this year, late last year, Benji Estevez. He was one of the top referees in boxing. We became friends, and he was a Jersey guy. He did all the fights in like New York, Jersey, and that was his main thing. So when they had those big title fights in Jersey, he would be one covering them. So when he retired, he moved to North Carolina, you know, and we had a conversation. And like I said, the best relationships, man, is when, you know, we can talk, and we can talk about family, we can talk about health, we can talk about all that. And we can still mix boxing into it, but that's not the heart of the conversation.
Right, right. Yeah. No, that is good. I mean, it is 100%. You know, so many times, like people say, I don't have work relationships. With people I work with, I don't talk to them outside. Because anytime we
Yeah.
get together, all you want to talk about is work. So
Yeah.
it's like, you know, I'm a real person outside of that arena.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
financially, to finish the question, financially, if especially when it comes to certain things, you got to have a passion for certain things where money doesn't matter, you know. But you don't rob yourself.
Right.
You know, you don't rob yourself, and you don't drain yourself because you're so passionate about something. So you really got to weigh it. You know, you got to weigh that thing and say, is it really worth it? Because when I first started going to these boxing gyms, my idea was I should open up me a gym.
Mm.
So with me, with that in mind, covering boxing and then opening up a gym, I was able to see the insides and outs of what it takes to operate a gym while I was covering the sport. So the things that I saw when it came to covering sport is most of the time when all these kids come to these gyms, it is no money in gyms.
Yeah.
It's no money in boxing gyms because these kids, they come off the street. A lot of them, the coaches are trying to help these kids stay out of trouble. You know, they give them the place to vent. They give them the place to grow. They pointing out, they recognizing who has the real talent and who has the time. You know, who just wants to. The kid that they just want to keep out of trouble. You know, the kid that just want to be babysit by because mom ain't get off work yet, and things like that. So it was when I was able to see that, and I was like, it's no money in boxing. No, I'm sorry, it's no money in boxing gyms.
Gyms, yeah.
Yeah, it's no money in boxing gyms.
And I think a lot of people miss that, even with the boys and girls clubs. You know, a lot of that is, you know, some of it was a lot of single parent, or even if it wasn't single parent, working parents.
Yeah.
Where you're out of school and it's like, what are you going to do? You know, and it's that idle mind is, you know, the devil's work too. You know that.
Exactly.
So we had something to do, and being able to play football, basketball, box, wrestling, or whatever. I think where we've now changed it now from when I was growing up and when we were growing up, it was definitely different than it is now. Now it's like big business out there. These kids, like, they're already getting NIL deals and all this other stuff. I'm like,
you know,
what happened to the game?
Yeah, because you could tell all three of us have probably seen it. You know how the kids now, you see the little taekwondo vans pull up to the schools.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
The parents just using that as a babysitting thing.
Yeah.
You know, that's just a babysitting thing. Yeah, the kids are learning. They probably enjoying it, but for the parent, that's another baby. Those extra hours they have. So when they're not off work yet, they'll be at the little karate class until mom has come scoop them up from karate class because they can't be in. You know, they can't be there because of work. And a lot of times it's a business when it comes to that, man. You know, people taking advantage of the workforce and the hours that these parents have to work. So they create a platform and say, you know what? I don't care if it's babysitting. I'm you know, this is money for me. Right. You know, this is extra money I'm getting. You know, I'll bring those 20 kids to my gym, you know, and teach them some taekwondo. You know, they ain't taking money, they teaching them something, but still, that's it benefits them and it's helping the parent too.
Right. No.
And it keeps the kid off the street.
It keeps the kids off the street, and the kid's going to be taken care of. They're going to be safe and things like that. So, yeah, that's a lot. Yep.
Yeah, because you think about it. I mean, now, and I'm sorry.
No, you good. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Now is a lot of times we don't see. Like, there was a time when we was younger, we was outside. You know, you waiting for the street light to come on because that's the time to go in. The kids are not outside; they're inside. So even going to a gym for boxing, taekwondo, or anything is, if nothing else, you like say it's a babysitting service. It's getting them off. It's really, they ain't on the street. It's getting them out the house. It's like you putting them in a place. Either they're in there on electronic, or they're in the street doing something they had no business doing. So at least you give them something to do. so that they could carry themselves. So that's
Yeah.
pretty cool. So so I'm let Walt. I know you got a
Oh,
question.
no. I was just saying, man, you know, we all pretty much are rec babies, right? We all came out the rec center. I mean,
Yeah.
so Warren, our lives kind of run a parallel. I'm a little older than you guys, but I was born in DC, right across the line on Grant Street, moved to Seat Pleasant, and
Okay.
then moved back to DC when I graduated. But I used to work with Roach Boogaloo. That was my man. We used to work for the fire department together.
Mhm.
And as far as, you know, guys like you and guys who run gyms, like you said, it's not a lot of money, but thank God for those guys, because guys like yourselves, because you do pour into these kids. And all of them not going to be pros, but I know at 62, I can pretty much tell you all the guys that influenced me at the rec center, the Sam Garretts and such, you know,
Yeah.
who just like looked out for me and what are you doing? And what are you doing
Mhm.
over there? And why aren't you doing this? And just having conversations and taking time to talk to you. And my mother used to work for DC Rec, and my mother-in-law used to run DC Rec. So I was a rec baby on both sides of the district line. So I just know that, man, those relationships, they run the world. And I'm sure now you're starting to see the fruit of your labor as these kids get older. And they
Yeah.
pretty much tell you how you influenced them coming up and kind
Yeah.
of looked out for them. And I did a short part-time thing at UPS, man. I can't see a tractor trailer now without my head hurting, man. I see. So, but I didn't go to UPS when they were about to open up the new place up in Burtonsville. I ended up joining the fire department, but I just remember
Okay.
being in that UPS truck in the bottom of that truck where the floors come up.
Yep.
You know, the
Yep.
daggone oranges from Florida, man, and the word whacking hut, which was the Amazon back then, man. I'm
Yep.
like, I still had nightmares coming home, blowing my nose with brown cardboard coming out my nose all night, man. But I got a few friends that work for UPS and retired from UPS
Same here. Yep.
and got the
Yep.
bad knees and bad hips and bad shoulders messing with
Yeah.
UPS too. So it's funny, we have a lot of parallels, man. But you know, your passion, man. A lot of people can't pursue their passion, so that's great.
Yeah.
That you got an
One.
opportunity to do that,
Yeah.
because a lot of people can't. They don't.
Yeah.
You know?
One thing I learned about this sport when I created it, it's going to be a platform for the fighters.
Okay.
I didn't want it to be about me. I didn't
Mhm.
want it to be about anybody else but the fighters. Because it's like you're saying, you know, you were naming fighters from the area. Back in the 90s, we had world champions back in the 90s but people really didn't recognize them because, you know, we had Two Sharp Johnson in Washington, D.C.
Yep.
He's an international boxing Hall of Famer. Excuse me. We had William Joppy. We had Sean Bay Mitchell. Sean Bay Mitchell and I, we were inducted at the same time in the DC Boxing Hall of Fame. We had Sean Bay Mitchell. Then we had Andrew Council. So all these guys in the 90s was champions at the same time. You had Chop Corley. So it was those 5 guys that had world titles. And that was in the 90s. And after they had their hiatus in the 90s, they went, you know, everything went kind of dormant in this area. Boxing was still going on, but the height of the boxing as far as elevated the world champions, it wasn't happening. You know, but only when Lamont Peterson fought Amir Khan in 2011, December in 2011, and they brought HBO came to town, Golden Boy Promotions came to town, and they threw that show at the Washington Convention Center. And once that show happened, one of the local promoters, Keystone Boxing, they came back and put things right back on the map again. You know, when it came to throwing shows in the area. Once they started throwing shows in the area, it gave another opportunity for new fighters to come up and make their build themselves up. And when they build themselves up, you know, I was able to, and I seen these guys as kids and amateurs, you know, become world champions. So when I seen these guys as amateurs, I had an opportunity to interview them, you know, before their first professional fight, interview them throughout their professional careers, and then watch those guys become world champions, you know. And then I saw Gary Russell become world champion. I saw when Jared Hurd became a world champion. I saw even some of the women's boxing. Franchon Cruz become women's champion. I think she's ready to fight Clarissa Shields again. For his second fight. That was both of those guys. That was their pro debut fight against each other. Franchon Cruz and Clarissa Shields. And Franchon was out of Baltimore. And Tori Nelson, Tori Nelson had like 12, 13 titles, whatever it was. And she was a world champion. Yeah. You know, so I was able to see these guys fight, you know, even now, currently Lamont Roach. You know, I saw him when he's in the Golden Gloves, winning the Golden Gloves title. Yeah, and come up through the amateur ranks and being signed in his first fight with Golden Boy Promotions. His career started, you know, under a top boxing promoter, you know, and now, you know, that's why I'd be able to look back and be like, wow, I covered those guys. Gervonta Davis. Man, I covered these guys before they had millions of dollars. I covered these guys when they were broke. Their mom and dad were living regular lives. Some of them struggling, you know, and then some of them had, you know, challenging lives and things like that. Like Gervonta Davis, I seen him before he had all the tattoos, and I saw Jared Hurd before he had all the Swift tattoos, and I saw these guys when they were kids. So, you know, I saw them come through the ranks, you know, and that's what I created my platform for. Every time I would get to see them, I would talk to them and I would interview them, and I will put their stuff out there so they can be seen.
Gotcha.
Did you cover Isra Gerger? It was when now.
She was retired. Yeah. She's in the boxing Hall of Fame too for women.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, she beat
her husband Marty.
Daughter. Marty's a good friend of mine.
Her husband Marty. Yep.
Yeah. But she beat the coal miner's daughter, which was Christy Martin.
Yeah, Israel was a great fighter.
Absolutely, 100%.
I want to thank those who are out there now in the chat community for being here. We got 11 million people out there right now. Like I say, every one of y'all millionaires or a million to me. So I see BBTV out there. Patty, thank you for coming through. Sharon Jackson, Davina. One Up is out there, and I'm trying to see if I can catch any more. Mario is out there. So thank you all for hanging out there with us. We got Sean. I'm sorry, Sean. Ooh, looking at your brother Juan Marshall with us today, and he's hanging out with us, telling us about the game. Really, not even so much the game, how he got into the game. So, Juan, for a lot of us that don't know the boxing world, and we're going to talk to you as a person who, like you say, you talk to the boxers, you've covered the fights and all. Can you walk us through the steps of a person stepping in? You know, how do the gloves work? How does that, you know, the Golden Gloves and all the other programs? So walk us through the steps, if you don't mind, for those who don't know, and maybe I have a son or daughter who might want to get in the game. Can you walk me through the steps?
So a lot of kids, they come to the gym real young. Some of them you see a 5-year-old, you see a 6-year-old, but to actually compete, you have to be 8. You have to be 8 years old, and you have to compete as an amateur, and you have to get registered, you know, through the Amateur Boxing Association, USA Boxing, which is called. So you get registered USA Boxing, and you go to a gym, and you want to go to a gym that is also registered, you know, to train and everything, and through USA Boxing, so everything will be legit, you know. So, you know, and then you get in there, you train, you have to be dedicated because it's hard. You know, I see kids crying while they're sparring, you know, snot running and crying and all that type of stuff because they're new to it, you know. And then once they get past that phase, they start getting into the, you know, the local tournaments. And sometimes before even tournaments start, some gyms just throw local shows where they just throw shows to put on, you know, so these guys can compete against each other. And then once a lot of those kids start to stand out a little bit, a lot of those trainers and coaches, they take their kids sometimes out of the state to some of those other tournaments, or even not even a tournament there, but other gyms that put on shows. Let them fight outside of the area, because the reason they do that is because if you fight in your area a lot, you're gonna fight the same kids.
Same kids, right?
And you're gonna fight. And you're going to know their styles, and you're going to see the same stuff So to make that kid better, you got to take him somewhere different, where you'll see a different style, where you'll see how they fight. So a lot of those trainers, the ones that know what they're doing, they put them up against different competition to teach them the different ways and styles of boxing, because that's at the end of the day, when you get to the pro ranks, that's what's going to be. You're going to be fighting people you never even heard of. So that's the plus side of having your kid fight in different areas and things like that. And when it comes to those tournaments, you're gonna be fighting against a lot of different kids from the area, coming in to fight and stuff like that. The silver gloves, then you have the golden gloves, and you got the junior Olympics and things like that. So that's some of the tournaments and things like that. So when you fighting the golden gloves is like the top amateur tournament, as far as a local kid wanting to do something. So when you're fighting the golden gloves, you fighting your regional, that's in your area. And then you fight, I think it's the regionals, and then you fight in the nationals. Once you make it through the regionals, you qualify in your area, and your area has a local golden glove council, so-called, out of the region. They have their own local golden gloves team. Once you're on that team, then you fly to the nationals, and whatever your weight class is, you fight into the nationals. And the nationals, I think it lasts for about a week, because you fight every other day, or sometimes once or twice a day, sometimes, so it lasts. And then once you're a golden gloves champion, and a lot of times throughout those ranks, throughout those tournaments, a lot of those kids get nationally ranked and things like that. And also just with the local gyms and the regional tournaments and things like that, you also have the actual USA Boxing, which represents the United States amateur boxing team. And they're looking at this talent, and they're looking at the guys, some of the best fighters, to represent the United States, and they fight internationally. They do tournaments around the world. They do international tournaments. And we had a guy that lived in Oxon Hill, Jamal Harvey. He did well. He was part of the Olympic team, this past Olympic team. What was that, 2020 Olympics, 2022? Something like that.
Last one was 24. Wasn't it 24?
Was it 24? Was it Summer Olympics? When is the Summer Olympics?
24.
Yeah, so he was part of the Olympic boxing team. So that's, we had let me see who else made Olympic boxing. Gary Russell was part of the Olympic boxing team. He was unable to compete because he got sick. Right. But he made that team. Also, his brother Antoine Russell, he made the Olympic. So yeah, we had a few Olympics, and my wife's cousin Andrew Maynard, he made the Olympic team, and he won the gold.
Yeah. Right. Wow.
Yeah, he won the gold. That was back in the 80s, I want to say.
Yeah. So I mean, and like I say, and I appreciate you breaking that down for us, because a lot of times you want to put your kids in things you're not sure, what is it all about, and it's more to it than just going into the gym. Like you said, it's a lot of working out. I did put the gloves on one time in my life that was outside of being forced to, and I did that in college. That's why I don't say big mistake, but I did. So I was like, hey, let me try, because at least got to try everything. So I put the gloves on. I'm all, like I say, there was no such thing as a small Big Jack, so I'm always Big Jack. I weighed in at 225, so you already know I'm fighting heavyweight. And when I got in the ring, dude was like 6'5", maybe 240. He was a big dude, and I ain't 6'5", 6 feet at all. That's all I got. And that man laid on me for probably the whole round. I mean, I couldn't even lift my hands up. That glove, what is it? 8-ounce gloves? Is they 8-ounce gloves?
No, 8-ounce gloves. When you're in the gym, you sparring with 16-ounce.
16-ounce. Okay.
It's a bigger glove because you don't want to hurt. You don't want to hurt the fighters.
Right.
But the actual fights, you got 8-ounce, and I think they go to 8, 10, and 12.
Okay.
But most of the time, the smaller guys you see, they wear 8-ounce gloves.
Okay. So the gloves we had on, and I just say they wear 10-ounce gloves. They could have been 500 pounds plates in my hand. I could not get my arms up.
Yeah. Boxing is a sport of endurance, man.
Yeah,
that's why everything is on a timer. When you're hitting the heavy bag, they put that time on it. They put that 3 minutes, because professional boxing got 3-minute rounds, so they put that 3 minutes on there. and your
Yeah,
break is when that bell rings. So it's all about endurance.
yeah, and that was the one thing I learned. And like, if you're a football player, it is not even close. So I don't care how
Yeah,
much of an athlete you are, and you say, "Hey, I played football, I played baseball," until you get in that ring and
yeah,
actually box or
yeah,
wrestle. So all
yeah,
that back and
Right.
forth. Because I
yeah.
remember, the workouts that we back when the Capitol Center was in
Oh
the
yeah,
DMV,
yeah,
and we used to run from the Capitol Center to Bladensburg High School. Just that was wrestling workouts. You used to run
yeah.
there,
Good
and I'm
gracious,
like,
that was a nice little run. Good
it was a
gracious.
nice
Yeah.
run, but it's like you that,
Up
and when
202.
you get there, they're like, okay, that's one round. Like, what? Yeah, that's one
Yeah.
round. And that's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. That's
holy
why a lot
cow.
of athletes in other sports, they come to boxing trainers to come to the gym and do those workouts for that endurance.
Just to get the workout,
That's
100%.
it.
Yeah, just to get the workout. You
Yeah.
never, and you can do that. So that's
Yeah,
another thing for pointing out those who are watching this and is going to either watching it live or going to watch it. You can actually join a gym, do
yeah.
the boxing workout without ever getting in the ring and fighting
It's it.
anybody.
Yeah.
Just the workout, just the
Floyd
punching the
Mayweather.
bag,
He has
hitting the
a
ropes. Go ahead, Walt. Go ahead.
Floyd Mayweather has a franchise of gyms to get the
Yeah.
boxing workout. Yeah.
All right.
And
Yeah.
that's part of the business side too, you know. That's I
Yeah.
you know, I had an opportunity to talk to a lot of these guys. And I think I wrote something about, I'm not sure if I wrote it or if I said it, but I sit there and I said, every fighter has to know their place
Mm.
as a professional fighter.
Mhm.
Everyone is not going to be a champion. At some time in your career, you're going to know that I'm not going to make it. You know, this is not where I'm going to excel in. This is my peak. You know, because age going to set in the business side of the sport is not going to allow you to go but so far.
Mm.
You know, so I said, you make the most money on the opportunities that presented to you. So you got guys that's making money as sparring partners. They go to different gyms and get paid from those guys to get ready for fights. You know, they make money on their own, on their own name. You know, they promote themselves, and when it's time to become, when it's time to fight, they got a whole slew of people. They selling T-shirts, they selling everything, selling fight tickets. You know, they getting a percentage of the money from selling the fight tickets, and the negotiations for the biggest purse they can get for that particular fight. So it's a lot of stuff in there, but you got to know your place, when it comes to that sport. And you got to give yourself a time frame, because I tell them, I said, a fighter really, their age lasts, you probably 35 if you're lucky. I said 35 if you're lucky and you're doing well, you can be able to stay in it for a while. But I said, in the real world, average age 35, shoot, you still got another 30 years to work to retire. So you got to think about that. I said, so if you haven't made that 6 figures or that 7 figures by the time you 35, prepare yourself to come out here to the real world and get a job. Work on that job for 30 more years and be able to retire from it.
Right. No,
But
that's reality, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, that's on your mind. What's up?
no, to your point though, such as yourself, there are a lot of things in boxing, promotions, cameramen, commentators, trainers, referees. I got a buddy, Malik, who's a ref.
Malik Wale.
Wale, yeah, absolutely. So, so there are things in the game that you still need to be aware of how the game works to do, which it makes sense that somebody like yourself is around the game, because it's not a thing that you just come in off. I mean, it's a tight knit community from what I see as an outsider. It's a pretty tight knit community, man. So, hey, man, I salute you guys for that, because, DC boxing, man, I go back to when Langley fought Kwawi at the Armory. So, it's just like this, and Johnny Gant, of course. So even before Sugar Ray, Johnny Gant was the hot guy out of DC. So may he rest in peace. So it's just like, man, they game, and when you go to these places and you see all these guys who've been around the fight game for so long, man, it's so cool to just sit back and, I mean, you know a lot of these guys, but you really watch them operate in their world. It's a sight to see, man. It's incredible, because you guys are plugged in, really tapped in to the way things are going. So the energy, that's where the energy on fight night comes from, when you see all these guys around the fight game who really know the fight game, and then of course the spectators and the novices like myself, to see, man, it's a sight to see, man. It's nothing like it. It's nothing like it. Yeah. So I salute you for that, bro.
Yeah.
That's a big deal, man. And like you said, you memorialize all of this. You're giving people a platform. You're not a gatekeeper. You're giving them an opportunity to show their work, and you show their work. So that's pretty cool. That's exciting.
100%. So Juan, we want to recognize you made it to the, what is it, the DMV Boxing Hall of Fame? Is he paused? I think he's in pause.
I think he did.
Yeah. Yeah, it looked like he paused. So
okay,
we're hoping he get his he get it back.
He'll get back. Yeah,
out, but it's all right.
man.
So we'll get it back up. So go ahead, Walt.
Yeah, he's done a lot, man. I mean, he's been around. He's got his finger on it, you know. So that's pretty cool, man. And all those guys are coming of age where he's seen them come up through the ranks. So
right, and a big thing, even with that, you know, even mentioning the fact that he did that voluntarily. It wasn't it wasn't like he put in an application. He saw it was a need, and he wanted to meet that need, and he actually did something, you know, to help other people. That's huge in itself, and hopefully he can get back up on the stage.
He will.
And we'll work with him. All you do is hit the link, and you can come back up on the stage. But the big thing is, a lot of times we don't recognize the people that's been doing a lot of work behind the scenes, especially those who volunteer, and they did recognize. So when he gets back in, and I think we're gonna have him back up here.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna see when he get back in. So there we go. All right, you back? What's up?
He's back. Took an 8 count. He took an 8 count.
Phone got hot. My phone didn't take the heat. Yeah, my phone didn't take the heat.
Look, we know the devil is a lie. I'm gonna tell you, the devil is a lie. We already know it. So it was right when I was about to recognize you.
He trying to work on it.
Yeah, you in the Hall of Fame. So tell us about that. Tell us about being inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame for DMV.
Yeah, Washington D.C. Boxing. It's ironic because I first started this, man. I wasn't doing this to be recognized. I wasn't even thinking about a Hall of Fame. You know, I went to the banquets and things like that, but I was so focused on my platform for the fighters, I didn't even think about, the recognition afterwards. You know, after I retired, I thought I was going to be done. You know what I'm saying? So, I wrote my last article December 2023. So 2024, I said, you know what? That's it. That's it. I don't have a passion for it no more. I don't have a drive for it no more. That's gonna be it, because I don't feel the same when I'm going to cover fights. I used to get excited when shows were coming up. When the excitement stopped, I just like that passion. That told me that passion wasn't there. You know, when 2024 came, I told people I wasn't going to cover fights anymore. I was going to just focus on being home, my family, and then a new season, kick in for me. My new journey for myself. So I stopped, covering fights in 2024. So 2025 come around, and I was at church, and I was at a leadership meeting. We had at church, a leadership conference actually, and the whole conference, my phone never rung. You know what I'm saying? Silent. And as soon as we got our lunch break, my phone rang. Right? I was like, wow. I said, it's perfect timing. All this time, my phone rang, but lunchtime came, and it was the guy who's in charge of the Golden Gloves, the Washington D.C. Golden Gloves. His name is Bobby Magruder, and he runs the DC Boxing Gloves. So he called me, and he wanted me to come announcing for the Golden Gloves because I did it in the past. And I was like, nah, Bobby, I'm retired, man. I'm just gonna be chilling out. Nah. He was like, okay, man, He said, but I'm gonna recommend you for the Washington D.C. Boxing Hall of Fame. I said, okay, you recommend it? Okay, I appreciate it.
So when we got off the phone, I was like, man, he gonna recommend me for the Washington D.C. Boxing Hall of Fame. And I just told him no, I wasn't gonna cover these fights. So I said, let me call him back and go cover these Golden Gloves, man, to make things right. So that's what I did. You know, I covered, and that was in February, right? So a few months went past, and I was on the way home. I think he was from a doctor's appointment, and I was almost home, and my phone rings, and it was somebody else, another friend I made in the sport. His name was Ken Sprouse, you know, and he was like, Juan, we're going to go ahead and induct you into the Washington, D.C. Boxing Hall of Fame. I was like, man, yeah. And I was like, wow, okay. You know, I got that induction. So that's how I went, man. Preparing my bio and things like that. Yeah,
you got it up on the screen right there.
You see that?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah.
Actually, my man.
I put that together.
Right. So
actually, no, I didn't do this one. This came off a guy this came off from a guy he has his own little podcast also.
Right.
I forgot the name of the show. I forgot it, but yeah.
All right. No, but that's nice. I mean, being in again the Washington D.C. Boxing Hall of Fame. So now, Juan, I'm gonna ask you this. The torch. Who's carrying it now? Who is actually covering now that you have retired? You stepped out of the game. You're not doing it. Is there anyone else that's filling your shoes if they can?
That's very interesting that you asked that, because during the time Gary and I were covering boxing, right? A lot of people will come up to us and say, can I help y'all? Can I do this? You know, can I work with y'all? And we were telling them. And in my mind, I was like, create your own platform so we can have more people covering the sport on different platforms. You know, I was telling them, create your own, man, so you can grow too, you know? And that's what I was doing. I did that, and a whole lot of people started, you know, covering the sport. I can only like a handful of people who do it have really a passion for it, because a lot of people doing it for the wrong reasons.
Right.
People doing it to get access to fights, and they're doing it to get to know the fighters, and they just doing it just for the acknowledgement of it, you know. But the passionate people that really do it and had that passion like I had, you know, and one of the guys and he works with a young lady, Lou. That's the name of his show, the Light Skin Lou Show. Yeah. So him and his girlfriend, they work together, and that's Lamont Peterson's and Anthony Peterson's brother.
Okay.
And he does a great job of covering these fighters. He does a real good job. And he would call me, you know, early on, and I was giving him a whole lot of advice and things like that, you know. So yeah, but I appreciate him for definitely jumping on. There's some other, you know, people out there that do it, but sometimes they do it for the wrong reasons. Like I said, you know, they want to be known, they want to be in the sport themselves, they want to work with like promoter, they want to work with this, they want to be, and they're not focusing on their craft, which was how they started. You know, they ventured away from how they started, and it's covering the fighters. You know, They want to be, you know, matchmakers and things like that. But sometimes, like, it's, you know, the truth might hurt them if they hear this, but they have to stay true. Then they'll know why things aren't working out for them, because they ventured away from what their real calling was, and that's what's colored the fighters.
Gotcha.
You know,
wow.
So,
yeah.
So it's very few. To answer the question, it's very few that really do it like Gary and myself did it. You know, because every time we would come to a show, if we would come, they always ask, when you coming back, man? We want you guys to come back. It ain't the same, you know. But, you know, everybody has their time, and my time is up with that.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah. So, speaking of time, I'm sorry, but we're at that time of the day. Believe it or not, this was a whole hour. and we knocked it out. But I want to thank you, Juan, for being on the show with us, hanging out with us, walking us down the path of boxing. One, congratulations again for being in the Washington D.C. Boxing Hall of Fame. Definitely inspiring. Oh, there you go. There's the plaque right there. So there it is right there. So again, congratulations for that. And it's nice always seeing you again. I mean, it's been I don't even know how many decades it's been now. It's been decades since I've seen you. So it's good to have you up on the stage.
Man.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask you, Juan, if you don't mind, to hang back once we close this show out and talk with you a little bit behind the scenes. For everybody that's out there been hanging out with us today on the Iron Sharpening Iron Show, we thank you for hanging out with us. We ask you to tune in to our next episode, because this is Sunday. So Wednesday, we got, of course, more more guests coming up. And we got those other shows that's going on. So make sure you tune in and watch the Ask a B show Monday through Friday. 12 o'clock Central Time, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. You got the Coach's Corner and the Voices of Resilience. That's every Sunday. And that's 2 o'clock Mountain Time, 4 o'clock Eastern Time. And then you got the Iron Sharpening Iron Show Wednesdays and Sundays, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Do know that we're not having any specialty shows at the end of this month. So no Battle of the Sexes, no Gentleman's Journal, and no We Be Jamming Live, because we're getting ready for the big brand change. So we'll see you in 2026 when those shows come back into play. But until the next time we see you, we ask you to stay blessed and be sharp. And we'll talk to you later. And thank you, Juan, and see you in a minute. Peace.
Yeah.
All right, well.
Thanks.
All right.